Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining the Innovation for a Sustainable Future webinar. My name is Victoria Pusong, and I'll be your host today. Just a little housekeeping before we get started. The webinar will be recorded, and a link to this recording will be announced later this week. If you have any questions during the presentation, please type them in the functionality on Microsoft Teams. I'll bring it up in a few seconds. You may submit your questions at any point during this webinar, and we'll try to answer them after each presentation. We will also have time for more questions at the end, so let's begin. Some of you may know the 27th Conference of Parties is happening in Egypt today. Combating the devastating effects of climate change requires mobilizing governments, corporations, finance, and civil society. At COP27, public and private sector leaders have united in Sharm el-Sheikh, Egypt, to seek solutions. The key theme of the conference for today is energy, which is why for today's webinar, we will explore the intersection of innovation, sustainability, and coatings in the transition to clean energy. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to our first speaker for today, Wijnand Bruinsma. Wijnand is our Director for Sustainability and leads the AkzoNobel Global Sustainability Agenda. He'll talk about our sustainability goals for 2030 and our focus on innovation and collaboration with value chain partners to identify opportunities and create shared value. Wijnand?
Yeah, thanks a lot, Victoria, for the introduction, and a warm welcome for everybody online. Good morning, good afternoon, and evening to you all. I'm really excited to be here because indeed today the COP27 in Sharm el-Sheikh is about energy. And although you may not consider or see the direct link between AkzoNobel as a paints and coatings company with energy, there's actually a lot there. And the good part of it is that I won't be alone here. So there will be two other presenters as well, talking about what are the solutions that we're able to offer, but also how we can help others becoming more sustainable. Now, before going into everything related to sustainability, our approach to sustainability, our key ambitions, allow me to first explain a little bit about AkzoNobel as a company. So we are a 230-year-old paints and coatings company, founded in the Netherlands, still headquartered in the Netherlands, but currently over 30,000 people worldwide. With about 50% of our revenue from Europe, Middle East, and Africa, another 20% from the Americas, and 30% in Asia. So really, truly a global player. Our revenue is about 10 billion. And I think this number is important if we come back to what sustainability and our sustainable solutions are providing. And you may know us from some brands like AkzoNobel, Interpon, International, Sikkens, and many other brands across the globe. Now, let me start first by the question, why is paint even important? Why does it matter? Well, to us, it really matters a lot, but I think to everybody, because if you look around the desk that you're seated behind, the laptop that you're probably using here, but also potentially the beverage can that you have, or the car that you just drove to work with, all of them are coated. And the key thing that we supply there is color, yes, of course, but it's also about protection. Things won't last as long if it wouldn't be coated. Now, being more specific about what our products actually offer, just a few highlights here. It's about reducing urban heat islands. Now, Andre, in his presentation later, will talk about how are we able to absorb the energy of the sun. But actually, what we also are able to do is reflect it. And by reflecting, you can reduce the temperature in buildings by about 5 degrees. Now, that might sound small, but that's actually a big impact. Think about Middle East and Africa, where now the COP is being held, and how much energy you could actually save and reducing the amount of carbon emitted by having those coatings on buildings. Now, we also preserve food. And so, although you may not think about it directly, in cans, there's a small layer of coatings, which makes sure that the food tastes as it should, but also it is protected longer. Now, lasting renewable energy, as probably Andreas will be also presenting more about had the wonderful world of more renewable energy sources and the role that paints and coatings can play in there. And then safeguarding health facilities. And with antimicrobial paints and coatings, we can benefit, we can help healthcare facilities also in their operations. And last but certainly not least, is about enabling sustainable transport. Now, what you see here is an electric vehicle, so battery electric vehicle, but also the shipping of products. We can make them so much more sustainable and by the coatings, the thin layer of coatings and paints that we provide. Now, today I will focus on the more energy-related topics, but I just want to highlight that there is much more that paints and coatings can actually deliver from a sustainability point of view. Now, our approach to sustainability, if we just take one level up, we're looking at our company purpose, which is people, planet, paint. And it really lies at the heart of everything we do. It's about making a genuine and lasting impact and being in the forefront of our industry. I think that's a key thing. It is about action. I will come back to that later. It is about making a difference, not talking only about it, but also doing the things. Now, within sustainability, there's a magnitude of different areas to consider, but it's also important that we focus. And if we look at where paints and coatings and we as AkzoNobel can make the biggest impact, that is about climate change. It's about circularity and it's about health and well-being. Now, climate change, energy, we're COP27. A lot of this is actually about battling climate change. And reducing carbon emissions is really essential to reduce the temperature increase of the world. And we as a company, with our own operations, with our whole value chain, but even more importantly, the impact that we can have with our products actually can have a significant role with battling climate change. And I would say this is not only the challenge of us as a company, but it's a challenge of our society and of our generation. Now, if we're talking about circularity, we are a producing company. So materials are key, and that's why we're looking for making that as circular as possible in the products that we're buying, but also how products are being reused at the end. But there's one thing about circular economy that many people tend to forget, but really at the core of circular economy is longevity. So how do we ensure that whatever you have is protected and stays longer? And actually that's what paints and coatings does with many of the products of the industry. And health and well-being, basically two sides of it is about how do you reformulate, how do you move away from certain materials in the paints, but it's also about the benefits that our paints and coatings can bring, like formaldehyde scavenger products that we have on the market. Now, this is about what is important, and I think it is important to understand what those areas are, but it's even more important not to only talk about them, but also to set clear ambitions. And that's why we've set 4 key sustainability ambitions. One is about 50% carbon reduction in our own operations and in our value chain. Now, at COP21, a couple of years ago in Paris, there was the agreement to try to limit global warming to 1.5 degrees. But this is actually following that 1.5 degree, not only for our own operations, but for the whole value chain. Now, circularity, I was already talking and referring to this, but it's really about how do we reduce the amount of waste? How do we reuse and recycle the waste that we still have, either by ourselves or by somebody else? And then our portfolio of products. I was talking about 10 billion of revenue, and we want to have that 50% of that revenue is coming from sustainable solutions by 2030. Really bringing benefits to our customers, sustainability benefits to our customers. And last but certainly not least is about training 100,000 people of the local communities and empowering them with new skills. Become the scientist, becoming the painter of the future. Now, again, setting ambitions is something which is essential for companies to do. But at the end of the day, it's about action. How do we get there? And I would say that based on the last 2 years that we're in this program towards our 2030 ambitions, we've made great progress. And on our next slide, you will see that our carbon reduction in our value chain, can we move to the next one? Our carbon reduction in our own operations has been reduced by 21%. So well ahead of our schedule of reducing it by 50% by 2030. Now, let me unpack this a little bit as how did we do this or how are we progressing here? We're looking at energy reduction. Very simple. Less energy means less carbon. So there's a good reason for reducing the amount of energy that we use to produce our paints and coatings. We also look at installing solar panels. We're close to 30 sites across the globe where we already have installed solar panels, providing us with our own energy. But we can't do everything with solar, and that's why we also buy renewable electricity from the market. And with these three core actions, we have already been able to reduce it by 21%. Now, our revenue from sustainable solutions is already close to 40%. So out of almost that 10 billion, 4 billion is already coming from sustainable solutions, products that really help our customers. And Andreas will certainly talk about some of those solutions, so I won't say too much about this, but this is really where we can have the biggest impact with the products that we're providing, because we're supplying to so many different industries. Now, circular waste in own operations, we're driving that down. So we're currently at 60%, which would have been considered as waste in the past, but actually we're able to reuse it ourselves or have somebody else reuse the materials. And then last, but certainly not least, is the local community members empowered. We're currently close to 14,000 already. Great programs have been in place with a lot of excitement. For example, in India, where we are training more females to become a painter, or people from minority groups who are helping to become the painter of the future. Now, I think these are our core ambitions, but there's one which I really would like to emphasize, and that is carbon reduction in our whole value chain. Because this first ambition is just referring to own operations, but our key challenge is actually in that whole value chain, and that's where we picked up the responsibility, the joint responsibility, together with our suppliers and with our customers, but also all of the other value chain partners around us, to really make an impact. And that's why I would like to start a short animation explaining this a little bit more, what this means and what are our key focus areas. I hope that gave a bit of a picture on what is the size that we're actually talking about and what's the impact that we're making. And just kind of giving some numbers to the percentages that are being mentioned. And so our own operations is about 80,000 households, which is significant, but keep in mind we're located at 130 different locations. But our true impact, the 98% that you saw in our value chain, is actually the size of 5 million households. That's about the same as the whole of Belgium, all of the households there. That's where the key impact is, and that's why we are seeking collaboration and innovation together with all of our value chain partners, because we believe this is a shared responsibility that we all have, and I would say the challenge of our generation. Now, one of the key topics that we focus on is energy transition, because it is important that there will be more renewable energy sources coming available. And I think there's a lot happening out there. I think one of the largest pension funds in the Netherlands reported yesterday that they are going to invest in one of the biggest sites in in the North Sea, close to the shore. And this is what is needed. And that's why I would like to invite Andreas. He's our global area sales manager for wind energy. And Andreas Hoyer, he has been in the protective coatings business already for a couple of years, I believe 16, but he knows better. And he will probably talk more about the whole market of wind energy, what's the potential there, what's happening there, and also hopefully been able to share some insights on how paints and coatings can actually help in that area.
Yeah, thank you, Wijnand, for the introduction. Yeah, indeed, I will talk about sustainable coating solutions for our customer in the wind energy industry. And if you look at this slide here, the ocean absorbs around 25% of all CO2 emissions and captured approximately 90% of additional heat generated from those emissions. Therefore, the ocean can provide a key source of renewable energy through offshore wind.
Yeah, thanks, Andreas. You're talking about offshore. Are there any differences with onshore, or is there one favorable compared to the other?
Very good question. Yeah, indeed. Onshore wind is the one that blows from the sea towards to the land, to the countryside. But on the other hand, offshore wind is the type of wind that blows from the land towards the sea. So some of us do know these big assets which are standing in the sea, whilst onshore wind is quite famous to the most of us, which are the windmills which are standing around the landscape.
Yeah, exactly. And so when, if I listen to you, so the offshore, there's a stronger wind. Is that also then the preferred option?
Well, offshore wind farms, they generate electricity from the wind blowing across the sea. So they are used or to be considered as more efficient compared to onshore wind farms or onshore wind farm assets. And this thanks to the higher speed of the wind, greater consistency, but also the lack of physical interference that the land or human-made objects can present. So yes, indeed, offshore is the most famous one, the most attractive one, but also the more climate neutral one.
Nice.
And yeah, as you can see here on the graph on the left hand side, it is forecasted that the global installations will have to increase by 4 times to stay on track with the Paris Climate Accord ambitions. And being able to boost the production whilst minimizing emissions from existing facilities is a critical success factor for the industry. And we as a company are able to offer a step change coating solution which support these goals. But before going into the details, let's have a short quiz. And the point is, offshore wind turbines, these are quite massive structures containing thousands of tons of steel, and installing and maintaining them can be quite an ordeal. So, but the question is, how big do you think are these wind offshore turbines? So there are 3 answers possible. If you look at the right-hand side, answer A, 1.5 times as high as the Washington Monumentum with blades the length of a football field. Or answer B, as tall as the State of Liberty with blades as long as a basketball court. Or is probably C the right one, as high as the Big Ben with blades as long as a tennis court.
You see the responses coming in, Andreas. I think it's almost a third for all, with a little bit less for the last one, the height of the Big Ben. Now we see a little bit more coming in for the 1.5 times the height of the Washington Monument.
Yeah,
Tell
great.
us,
So
what is it? Because that sounds way too high for a wind turbine.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, no, the answer A is the right one. So congratulations to everybody who votes for answer A. It is indeed 1.5 times as high as the Washington Momentum, which is 245 meters with blades as long as a football field, 109 meter, and the trend in the industry is to grow further in terms of the hub heath to have these offshore wind assets even more efficient as they are still or already today. But given the size and the number of the turbines that needs to be installed for wind farms, what does the market is looking for? What are the key requirements for the wind farm assets? And the key ones are, if you look at these assets, they are installed in the sea. So that means they need to withstand harshest environmental impacts. And therefore, the need for maintenance should be as low as possible. But also from a sustainability perspective, the lifetime expectation is around 34 years, and the latest developments calls for 50 years plus lifetime expectation. No maintenance work required. But also when we look at coating products for these assets, VOC, volatile organic components, are quite an important topic that should be as low as possible. But also when we look at sustainability as a whole, it's important to look at the full contract chain, meaning coating cannot only do the sustainability job, there is much more required, and all in all needs to come hand in hand to offer a full corrosion and barrier protection to keep these assets stable, free from corrosion, maintenance free, to help them to generate energy for the next years.
I can imagine, because it's probably a difficult job to maintain those big wind turbines out in the sea. So what other factors are important for customers, Andreas?
Yeah, the point is when we look at sustainability, which is the topic for today, that means we cannot just look at products. Yes, products play a vital role to have a sustainable coating scheme applied. And yes, they do have a direct impact on the emission performance, but the point is we need to look at the whole value chain. So that means it is critical to adopt in the first instance simple and effective ways to assess a more complete sustainable performance. And this goes also in line with our own ambition to work with partners, to work with our own supply chain, our own value chain, to reduce CO2 emissions, but also to make sure that the products will be applied in the most sustainable way, that the people are getting trained, have the right skills in place, so we can all work together and to collaborate to help to further the overall, or to help to develop the overall industry goals.
Yeah, I think really nice, and I think that's what's happening in the wind energy market. But what is it that we're bringing? So what are the services, if you like, that we're protecting?
Mm-hmm. You would be surprised what are we going to do in the wind energy market. So as you can see here on the picture on the left hand side, AkzoNobel is providing coatings and coating engineering solution for the entire wind power asset. Meaning we are providing products for the blades down to the tower, but also not to forget the foundations, which is the yellow piece of steel, which is always visible on top of the seabed. And this is where AkzoNobel is providing not only products, also consulting and engineering services to make sure that the right products are being specified, being applied in the right way, and also, if needed, being maintained as required in the most sustainable way.
Yeah, super nice, and I think that's quite well. It's first of all, it's coverage, but it's also about not only having paints and coatings, but actually about providing services to our customers, really helping them out, right?
Yep. That is indeed correct, and it's also important when you talk to potential suppliers. Not all suppliers and technologies are the same, so we can take what we have in the back, an unrivaled track record in the global wind energy industry. We are working in that market since more than 20 years now, and we are very familiar and can comply with the performance expectations, the supply chain benefits, the productivity aspects. And all of that makes us a more than a sustainable partner. And this is also line in line with our overall AkzoNobel ambitions. We can provide the services the market is requiring to make sure that we are not just simply supply paint to a tower or to a foundation. We look at the bigger picture, and I'm pretty sure not all suppliers and technologies can do it in the same way like we can do.
Yeah, exactly. And what are the specific reasons for them to choose? Do you have a couple of examples there?
Sure. Yeah. So there's a few points which we can mention here. So our customers are looking well, on 5 key elements, if you like, and the 5 key elements are all related to the product performance, considering the whole lifetime expectation of such a wind farm asset, so that the products cannot only withstand against corrosion protection, the products can also help our customers to save energy, for example, so there is no heating required in the paint booth, that the painters are very well trained, educated, and also that the products by itself, that they're not just certified to meet the corrosion protection requirements, also to provide as lowest VOC contents as possible, and also to make sure that the products are available on a global level, because it doesn't make sense to just ship out the products out from Europe to all manufacturing sites around the world. So we do make sure with our international brand portfolio that the products are available on a global level.
Thanks a lot. And could you give a bit more flavor? Do you have a particular example or a project which is currently ongoing that you can explain a little bit more?
Sure, Wijnand. If you would have more time, then I can probably talk about the whole day, about several project experience what we have had. So I have taken an example from the United States, a project called Ocean Wind that is located on the east coast of the United States. And I have chosen that for 2 reasons. One is that we also see a lot of ambitions through the Biden administration to really drive wind energy in this huge market, but also considering a new product technology, which we're happy to provide for the project based on our Interzone family. That's a patent protected technology which uses so-called hybrid epoxy technology. And what can we do with that product for this specific project? Well, corrosion protection, as we have learned, that is the key element. And for sure, yes, the product will provide that. But also when it comes to efficiency, and efficiency goes also line in line with sustainability, we can cut the production time, the throughput in the factory by 1 day. So that means an efficiency increase by 50%, which is quite tremendously to previous product technologies. But now when we also look a bit more on the contents of such a paint material, this material reduces the VOC output per liter by 70%. Could you imagine 70% VOC reduction? I think that's a tremendous amount, and congratulations to our RD&I department providing us such a fantastic technology. But also when it comes to the paint application by itself, it's a standard 2-pack technology which eliminates the need for undesirable accelerators, and all in all goes in hand with trust. And trust is an important topic when we talk about sustainability, and this product is part of our Interzone family, which is in the wind power industry now for more than 40 years.
Thanks, Andreas. Thanks for giving this insight in this so interesting and so quickly developing market. Really appreciate it. Victoria, did we get any questions for Andreas that we can answer? And if not, please raise them. That would be fantastic. I think it's using the polls function, right?
Indeed. So for everyone who is on the chat, please enter your questions on the poll. We do have one question for Andreas. How do you ensure that your products are being used or applied in the most sustainable way?
Thank you very much for this important question. It is indeed important because we are handling chemical products. And the point is we are helping our customers with dedicated training programs, which meets the international standards. But we are also going beyond that. So that means we are providing by our interskill training program also a so-called green training program. That means there is no paint needed to train applicators in the right way of applying our products, and the product and the program can be adopted to the product characteristics. So in a virtual environment, the people can train and try our products to apply it on such assets, which is a fantastic topic to protect the environment, but also to make sure that the product is being applied in the right and correct way.
Thank you, Andreas. For those who have questions, don't be afraid to type full-blown questions on the poll. I know it comes up with us with a word cloud. We intended that, but feel free to write the full question because we'll be able to see your entire question from the back end. Okay, thank you, Andreas.
Thank you.
Now, if there are more questions about your topic, we will still have time towards the end of this presentation. But now we will move on to our next guest. So our next speaker is the Director for Scientific Academic Partnerships, Andreas van Linden. Andreas is a veteran in the field of R&D and innovation with 36 years of experience. So he will be joined today by a special guest, Gerrit Jan van Riessen, and Gerrit Jan is the head of R&D for EMERGO Energy System. Together, they'll talk about how coatings technology play a role in helping to make housing energy neutral. Andre?
Yes, Victoria, thank you very much. Indeed, it's very important on this COP27 day to think about energy and what's happening there. In the meantime, in R&D, of course, we are always busy. As long as I'm in R&D, in fact, in trying to get all the materials that have new insights to replace them by new ones. There's a lot of work happening over there to get much more safer materials all over in our products. And at the same moment, of course, we work like Wijnand was telling, and Andreas gave an example, on getting the total carbon footprint of our products down in the whole value chain. That is not only the thing we are doing inside our factory, but also in the choice that we make of the raw materials, that is in the making low-bake products, that is in making products which are done with lower VOC amounts, or products which are made from reused materials like recycled raw materials or bio-based sourcing. That's all a lot of work. That's all done internal, and that will really improve the whole carbon footprint as we measure it for the company. But at the same moment, we also work on the carbon footprint of our customers. So that is something else that is not helping us, in fact, in our carbon footprint calculations, as Wijnand always likes to show. But it is a very important thing, of course, that how can we make in this case, energy neutral housing? I'm doing that together with Gerrit Jan. If you see the next slide, you can see that we are both there. Oh, let's even further immediately. So we will do it. I will first explain a bit how it works. There are three ways of how you can manage heat. The first is convection. Convection is just the air that is going around, warm air, which is very important. Be careful, you can burn yourself heavily. But there is not much we can do with paint on warm or cold air. That is not how paint is coming in. The second thing is conduction. That is the transport of heat through a solid material or liquid material. And there we can help in insulating the wall with extra layers. That is a very known effect. We do that. We have all kinds of products for that. Nice on the inside or on the outside. But it's not what I'm talking about today. The third is a very interesting one, and it is something that you see more and more being used now. That's radiation. That is really the heat radiating in the infrared normally, especially the near infrared. I try to make a small picture there of what is in the sunlight. And you can see that in the middle part, you see the daylight. That is what we can see by our eyes, the human eye. But there's a big part which is red. In reality, it's not red because it's infrared and you can't see it. And that's where the heat comes in. The two ways you can use it. One is already mentioned by Wijnand, that's about cooling. You can try to reflect the heat for a building. You can do that actively or passively. There's all kinds of ways to do that. That's a lecture on itself. But it will help you in reduce the amount of air conditioning that you need for cooling. That is very important for especially the hotter countries. In colder countries, like where we are living today, it was about 5 degrees in the morning. You also want to get heating in. That's important, otherwise it gets very cold in the house. And heating, then you need to absorb that same radiation and do that more clever than you did before. That is what I'm talking about today, together with Gerrit Jan. The next slide. In fact, what we did is we did a lot of testing. I will show it in the movie later, which looks like, as you can see on the right side, quite simple panels. But what we did in reality is we installed them. Next click will show the rest of the pictures where we installed them, for instance, in this case on a sports hall, to cover the heat, to really collect the heat in a very clever way. Which is a lot of work in reality. It's not that simple. When I saw it first time, I thought it was simpler than it is in fact. But we use a very special paint which absorbs much more heat than you would normally do from the air. So it's a colored panel. It's not just a black panel, but it is in all kinds of colors. And they absorb a lot of this infrared because there's special ingredients in that, special pigments. I will show a short movie which gives you a bit more the impression what it does.
Envision a building that harvests solar energy from the complete building surface, not just the roof, but the walls too. Such buildings will provide opportunities to use the 60 billion square meters of facade surface available in the European Union. The ENVISION renovation concept uses current photovoltaic, also known as PV, solutions for roofs, and new thermal and electrical energy harvesting solutions for the building facade. The ENVISION facade solutions focus on absorbing an important but invisible part of the solar radiation, the near-infrared. NIR constitutes roughly 50% of the energy available from sunlight. Because it is invisible, it can be harvested while allowing invisible and aesthetic aspects of the facade to be optimized at the same time, ready for commercialization. The total renovation concept with the ENVISION technologies is successfully demonstrated in row dwellings of social housing corporations, Trudeau in Eindhoven and Compan in Helmond, the Netherlands. By the implementation of the ENVISION technologies, the demo houses can be heated natural gas free and have the potential to become net energy positive. Commercialize the renovation concept, including the heat harvesting panels. A spin-off company, Calisol, has been set up with close collaboration of AkzoNobel. By demonstrating the feasibility of using all building surfaces to efficiently harvest energy, the Horizon 2020 ENVISION project has created energy-positive buildings.
So I hope that showed a bit what we're doing. Gerrit Jan, can you? I don't see you yet. Can you talk? Or is the system blocking you? I wouldn't be surprised. MS Teams is.
I think we can hear you. I think Gerrit Jan is not yet dialed or has been kicked out from.
He is in the okay. He's in the app and he's not yet in the.
Yeah.
Maybe you can still give him access. Then I'll try to his presentation, but he is much more aware of what's happening over here. What you see here is, in fact, on the left and the right side, two houses. On the left side, you see that only the panels are used, which are normally often done with wooden panels or with other materials. And in the middle, you can see how that looks like. So it is panels on the housing, and there is a lot of tubing behind it. The tubing leads to a heat pump somewhere, for instance, on the attic. And then next to the heat pump, there must be a heat storage, for instance, in a big water collector where you collect the warm water. But it would be better to even use a heat battery. From that hot water, you can heat the house. You can get your shower done. You can even get steaming water from from the tap. That is all possible. On the left side, what you see is enough for a house like that. On the right side, what you see that is the whole site is enough almost for 3 houses. That's much more than for 1 house. On both of them, you see there are solar panels on the roof. The solar panels are enough electricity to heat to get the whole system running. Because the electricity you need is not that high. In fact, what you need to transport some liquids, but on relative small distances, and therefore it's not more than you would normally need for normal central housing in a house. So the electricity use can be done with photovoltaics, and the panels can give you the whole heating for the house. Next. Gerrit Jan is not able to talk. Can you make him talk, Victoria? Can you still permit him? So this is how it looks like in practice as well. So on the left bottom, you can see. There he is. Succeeds. Hi, Gerrit Jan.
Yes, I was blocked by the system.
Yeah, I was worried. The system beats us sometimes, but we make it. We beat the system now. Can you tell what you see over here? Maybe that's because you know much better than I do.
Yes. Yeah, you see some examples of the heat harvesting facades that we have realized in the joint project we have done in ENVISION. There's a European project we did together with AkzoNobel and a lot of other partners, TNO and a lot of other partners. And there was a really good joint effort in this project to realize this nice demonstration sites. And here you see a sports hall, a normal house, and a heating shed in the backyard of a house. All equipped with this heat absorbing coating and heat harvesting panels. So the architects are able to realize what they want. They can use a color, and at the same time you can harvest a lot of the heat that is shining from the sun on the facades. And here in the heating shed also the roof is used. So that gives input to the heat pump. The heat pump is heating the house or the building. So
such a small shed, Gerrit Jan, such a small shed is enough for heating your house?
Yes, this shed is enough for a normal house, and we have here more than enough in the shed because we have abundance of heat for this house.
Right.
So that's a very nice, effective way for heating the house. And yeah, if you compare it to normal heat pump systems, the bonus is the solar energy, the solar heat that you harvest. So that results in a very high COP on the heat pump, and an enormous reduction on your yearly energy bill.
COP, that's for me.
There's a coefficient of performance of a heat pump. So you, the efficiency of the heat pump is working in.
Yeah, the efficiency. Yeah. Great.
So what another nice fact is that the system is very silent because it's a water heat pump, no air split unit running outside in your garden, disturbing your nice garden behind by your house.
You mean contrary to the exterior heat collector of my neighbor now?
Yeah, maybe your neighbor has that.
Quite a lot of noise when it's getting cold. It's an old one, but this is completely silent. Yeah,
completely silent, and you don't need a ground loop. That's also in a lot of areas. It is very a lot of restrictions on this to drill into the hole. Oh.
Good. In the meantime, the next was started recently. We can just have it. Recently, we had the European Sustainable Energy Week, And this project, and that's quite special, was really chosen so on European level to be one of the top 3 submissions there, because it's a very, as you can see, very sustainable submission. I think indeed, if I listen to you, Gerrit Jan, the specialty is that this covers indeed a very, very good opportunity for covering heat. And yes, it will be used next to heat collectors and all kind of other systems, but it's a very nice opportunity. Maybe you can just show the movie quick.
Yeah, one.
Because here you see all the partners, but quick as well. There's a lot of people involved, a lot of companies are very international wide involved. Yeah. Yeah, because the next is, of course, where can we use this?
There are a lot of applications for this heat harvesting, and all the renovation, all the buildings that we have to renovate in the future, also for new built buildings. I've put a few photos here on this slide to show some buildings that are very suitable for this technology. Besides, you can use it in normal row dwellings. These buildings are very suited for this type of heat harvesting. When you have a limited roof area, like the apartment building you see in the middle, then you need also to use the facades for heat harvesting. And then you can the limited space on the roof you can use for solar PV to get electricity demand down. So these are buildings. Yeah, we are now facing it for the next step, where we can scale up to larger objects and to more projects where we can roll out this technology into the market.
Great. How do you compare this with other technologies at the moment in costing? For instance, what is really hampering for rolling it out tomorrow to all houses in Europe?
The costs are at the moment somewhat higher than the normal heat pump system, but you harvested it back in time, so you get it back. You get a good payback time in this on this investment.
Yeah, and it is of course very new still, so it is not something that we did and we know completely. It's not, I just always try to explain people, it's not just a modular system that you click on your facade and you click in a machine inside and you're done, because it is still new and we have to learn how to do the engineering. There's much more engineering in it than I realized when I saw the installation going.
But you see also in this on this picture, you get back a nice facade. If you see to the sports hall how it looked before and after the renovation, so your building gets a new face as well. So that's also an advantage that you get in this technology.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you very much. I think we really need more partners to do this. That's the big trick now, because this is a very sustainable solution, and let's hope it's picked up as wide as we hope it will be. Okay, Victoria, do you already have questions for us, or for Andreas, or for Wijnand?
Yes, I do. And thank you both for showing us how fascinating this technology is. I'm pretty sure there are a lot of homeowners out there who might be interested to make their homes energy neutral. As for the question, we have, are there any limitations to what colors the facade panels can be in?
Yeah. Well, there is a limitation. We can't do bright white. And lighter colors are a bit less efficient than very dark colors. but the light colors are still very efficient. So what you saw on that in that movie is this, was it beige, gray like type of colors? That is possible. So it's off-white to anything. At the moment you go to this kind of greens, you have a complete, more or less complete total solar absorption of the 80% that we want, which gives a very high efficiency. I think that's correct, Gerrit Jan?
Now we have I've shown you the heating shed as a gray one, but we have also realized 2 heating sheds in white. So with white facades and a black roof. And as I told, for the heating shed, you have an abundance for heat. So the efficiency on the facades can be a little bit lower, about 40% absorption. And so then you have a white shed absorbing 40% of the light, and that's still a good result.
Now, if you compare that, in fact, the photovoltaic panel is only having an efficiency of around maximum 20%. So indeed, it is already double the energy harvesting that you can do with a photovoltaic panel that everybody uses now. Yeah, I agree.
If you compare it with photovoltaic, you make a huge step.
Yeah, that's true.
Gerrit Jan, I have a couple of questions for you from our audience. Can EMERGO provide industrial solutions, and up to what temperature does the water usually heat up?
With industrial solutions, you mean buildings like you see here on the photos?
Right.
Yes, that's possible. The temperatures, are going up if you about 60, 70 degrees maximum for the facades, and you can heat up the water. What's heating the water to the heat pump? About to 30, 40 degrees. But it depends on how much you cool your panels, so how much heat you subtract from the panels, how hot they in reality will be.
Yeah, good to know. And can this be combined with a regular heat pump installation, or does it replace the heat pump installation?
No, it is part of the heat pump installation because it is the source of the heat pump installation.
Yeah.
So the panels are the source, and putting the heat into the heat pump, and then the heat pump is providing the heat to the building.
Clear. All right, we have more questions coming in. Can this work? Would a heat capture solution like this work in a less sunny country such as the UK?
No, we tested it in the Netherlands, so that's about the same as in the UK, I think, the climate. There we have good results, very good results. You have a lot of energy from the sun, but also if there's no sun, you harvest from the ambient air. So it is not, if the sun is not shining, you have no heat. No, at that moment you harvest from the ambient air. So the solar input is a bonus on your efficiency and on your COP of the heat pump.
Yeah, in fact, comparable like a normal heat collector is doing also, that you install when you want to make your house gas free now. Yeah, that also harvests from the cold air, because you can, even cold air, you can still harvest energy. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
That's the
like an air heat pump is now also working like that. That it is harvesting heat from cold air. So that is what the panels do as well when the sun is not shining, and during the night.
All right. You showed earlier a shed in the back garden with gray facades. Members of our audience is wondering what's inside the shed. Does it still have space to store your belongings, like your bicycle maybe, or is there an energy collecting system inside?
That's a very good question, Victoria, because in the heat shed is about 1 meter of space is for the installations. And there you have the heat pump, the buffer, and everything. And the heat shed is now in total a little bit longer, but they have the same area to store the bicycles and all the stuff they had before.
Okay, good to know.
Nice.
All right. We have a couple more questions here. Let me just check. How does the efficiency compare with solar thermal panels? So not photovoltaic panels, but solar thermal panels.
Oh, absolute water. You know that, Gerrit Jan?
Yeah, we know that because we all the reference measurements in the beginning of the project were done with the normal solar collector panels to compare how our panels were performing. And what if you look at the solar absorption, then for the dark colors we are at the same level. Dark colors, I mean green, red, like you see here on the photos. You are on the same level, but additional to the solar radiation, as I told, you harvest from the ambient air, and that's what a normal solar collector is not doing. If you go below ambient temperature with a normal solar collector, then you get a lot of condensation and other problems. That is not a problem for our harvesting panels.
And we use a special paint which harvests for lighter colors a lot of extra total absorption, a lot of the infrared. That's the trick. You don't see that in the day in the color because that is visible light, but in the infrared we absorb a lot of extra energy. That makes a big difference, I think, as well. But we can do all colors and not only black.
Gerrit Jan, a follow-up question on the ambient air, the harvesting from ambient air. Will this work in the dead of winter when it's really below zero, when it's freezing cold outside?
Yes, it will work. We've tested it as well during the minimum temperatures that we had here in the Netherlands. But yeah, I'm also convinced that it works at lower temperatures that we have here in the Netherlands, because you see that if the heat pump is going to the lower temperatures, you can subtract a lot of energy from outside -10, -15, even up to -20 degrees.
Yeah, very good. Another question, how long do these panels last?
Because the paint is with great paint.
Yes, I have to ask to Andreas how long the coating will last, because that the basis of the panels are from aluminium, and it's very sustainable product for the lifetime.
Yeah, we have a special coating systems for this because they are, of course, also there is some temperature differences in time, so you have to be careful. But they will last. I don't know exactly what they did, but the commercial value of normal outdoor panels, and as you know, on high rises as well, panels can last very long before they have to be replaced. Yeah.
Great. Well, thank you both for answering so many questions today. There are more actually questions on the pipeline, and as we have 2 minutes left, I'm just going to redirect a little bit of the questions back to Andreas because we still have a couple of unanswered questions there before we close. Andreas, often heard critique of the offshore windmills is the impact on wildlife. Can paint offer some solutions there?
Well, good question. Thanks, Victoria. Coatings can play a role, indeed. So there is work in progress also together with the global major OEM companies to ensure that probably special color shades can help the wildlife, and this applies not only to offshore but also to onshore. So for example, on some certain steel towers there is already a trial going on with some special green color shades in the bottom of the tower to make the wildlife more familiar with these assets. So yes, coatings can play a role, and we, together with our coating experts in our RD&I department, together with the experts from the industry, we are collaborating together to tackle also this important aspect. Absolutely.
One last question for Andreas. How do you ensure that the supply of your products does not lead to oversupply and therefore wasted product at the end?
Well, quite an interesting one. The good thing is when we look at offshore wind, for example, if you look at these yellow pieces of steel, the foundations, we are able to provide corrosion protection with just 3 to 5 products, which are available globally on in every continent. And we do help our customers with the theoretical, but also with the practical material calculation. So we minimize the risk of oversupply as best as possible. But as I said, we do fulfill with our products the global specifications for such projects. And if there's really the case that for whatever reason you have a few buckets over, well, you can put it into your stock and take it for the next project.
Thank you, Andreas. So I believe we have reached the end of our webinar. I would like to thank everyone for joining today. We appreciate you being here. And if we were not able to answer your questions, we will get back to you personally with some answers. If you would like to learn more or you're interested in collaborating for sustainability, please contact us at sustainability@aksonobel.com. Finally, a recording of this webinar will be made available on our YouTube channel. So we'll share with you the link later on this week. Thanks again for joining us today, and have a great day, everyone.
Thanks a lot.
Bye.
Thank you very much. Goodbye and have a nice day.
Thank you.